Are we ready? All right, I'll call the meeting to order and roll call will show that Angie and Robert are absent tonight. And if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have our mission statement. Viroqua area schools will nurture excellence, unlock potential, and ignite passion. We have our audit report tonight. So Dan Trudgeon is here and he's going to share information about the audit. Yeah. There he is. Hi, Dan. Can you hear us?
Hello. Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you.
Perfect. So I'm Dan Trudgeon. I'm an audit manager with Lauterbach and Amen, and I'm starting my 3rd year with the firm and 9th year overall in public accounting. And this is our 2nd year working with Viroqua Area School District. This year's audit process was much improved, and much of that has to do with the efforts of Chris and the district personnel staying on top of our audit requests this year. So definitely a big thank you for that. Getting to the audit process, as required by DPI, every school district must undergo an annual audit with the audited financial statements submitted at the end. The district is also subject to federal single audit requirements as the district expends over $750,000 of federal expenditures. For June 30th, 2026, this threshold is increasing to $1 million instead of the $750,000. However, this should not eliminate the district's requirement for a federal single audit. It's just nice having a higher threshold and hopefully less testing in the future. So our audit process includes testing transactions within the district's general ledger and overall trial balance accounts based on a materiality threshold. We set specific thresholds to make our selections on what balances need to test overall and lower the threshold for individual transactions. And this testing leads us to our audit opinion. So on page 1 of the audit report, the very first thing in the report on the audit of the financial statements is our audit opinion. And in the second paragraph, it says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of Viroqua Area School District. So in audit terms, that means it was a clean opinion and it's the highest level of assurance an audit can provide, which is what DPI would expect. And this means the financial statements are materially correct in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So going on to some of the financial results, I will focus heavily on the general fund as the main operating fund of the district. So when we are looking at the general fund, the biggest thing that we typically look at is ending fund balance and then the level of expenditures within the fund. So from 2024 to 2025, fund balance went from $3,938,000 to $3,951,000, which was an increase of $13,000. So the district, kept their level of fund balance, which is very good when the level of expenditures is usually rising. The district also has a fund balance policy of having general fund balance levels at or above 20% of the general fund expenditures. So in 2025, the total expenditures in the general fund were $18.5 million. So when you have that as a percentage of the district's $3.9 million in ending fund balance, that yields 21%. So the district was in compliance with their fund balance policy, and this should be monitored going forward just to make sure that that level of fund balance does stay in compliance. Does anyone have any questions over any of the fund balance policy items or any fund balance questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. So then moving on, we will get into some of the management letter recommendations. So the only new recommendation, which is something that we've been adding into all of our school districts, is the IT security awareness and monitoring of emerging risks. This is truly just a high-level recommendation for the district to review their IT security and what you're doing um, for any security breaches or anything regarding physical security of your IT equipment. Over the past couple of years, we've been seeing a lot more external hackings, external frauds, and this recommendation just goes through some of the typical issues that the districts have, and it's just a good way for you to look at current practices and policies to determine if any changes are necessary. So a lot of the common ones are ransomware and phishing, the use of multi-factor or lack thereof, um, looking through vendors and other third parties, how you're backing up your servers, and then probably one of the biggest one is just staff awareness and training. Um, so for further recommendations, these are all repeats from last year, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on these. There wasn't a whole lot of time between last year and this year's audit to get any of these accomplished. So I know Chris and I have had some conversations on some of them that he would like to accomplish within the 25-26 school year. So the first one is the capital asset policy, which is just saying that the policy in place doesn't have as much detail as the financial statements have within them. So this would just be aligning the policy with the level of detail within the financial statement footnotes, specifically having useful lives in the respective categories of capital assets. Recommendation number 2 was the number of cash accounts within the district, specifically revolving around the scholarship funds. The district has basically one cash account and sometimes multiple cash accounts for each scholarship source, which adds a lot of room for, or a lot of time for reconciling and a lot of room for errors between all of the accounts. And if we go back to the IT aspect of it, the more cash accounts there are, the more room, the more opportunity there are for external people to obtain information they should not get. The next one is outstanding check write-off policy. This is just having a written policy and procedure around how old outstanding checks that have been written but not cashed are taken care of. That way they follow the state Department of Revenue's guidelines, but then anyone who has questions on that within the district are able to take care of that. The next one is funds over budget, which would just be different levels of the district. Sections were over budget without a budget amendment, and that's just to raise awareness and so that there is more monitoring throughout the year if any changes were necessary. A lot of the over budget items could probably just be explained with, we didn't anticipate to do XYZ project throughout the year, or something that we thought was coming in at a certain price ended up being a little bit more expensive. And then the last part would be upcoming GASB standards, which are changes in the accounting structure for the district. The first one is GASB statement number 103, which is financial reporting model improvements. This goes over some changes in how the audited financial statements might look in the future. This would be more of a statement that we would take care of since we write the audit report and financial statements ourselves with review and approval by the district. So when we make those changes for next year's audit, we will make sure to pinpoint any major changes for you, so it won't be a surprise. And then the last GASB statement is disclosure of certain capital assets. Again, this is more of an auditor standard where we'll ask certain questions on capital assets and make sure we are disclosing them in the footnotes appropriately. The biggest change in this one would be for example, capital assets held for resale. So if the district had any land or equipment that they had 100% intent to sell, we would want to separate those out into a specific category within the footnotes. So that way any users would know that those aren't operational items anymore for the district. With that, that's all I really had for the presentation. Were there any questions that I could answer for you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you
Well,
for all your work.
Yep, thank you. If at any time there's any questions, Chris knows how to reach out to me and we can get anything answered for you.
All right, thank you.
Yep,
Thanks,
thank you.
Dan.
Yep, you're welcome.
Moving on to Spotlight on Education, Elementary Community Action Team, Haley Harris. Share my screen. Yeah.
Great. So I'm Haley Harris, second grade teacher. This is my 16th year here in the district. Last year I was elected by process of elimination as the coach of our community action team. As you can see on the screen, we do have quite a few members. I think I got them all. But just kind of an overview of what the team is. It originated as our PBIS team, and as we started backing away from those principles, we kind of changed it into our community action team. However, we did retain the behavior, or still discussing and looking at behavior trends throughout our building from the PBIS philosophy. And then when we notice those trends, trying to address them through reteaching, where if we see a bunch of kids are having trouble walking down the hallway quietly, we take the time to stop and reteach them. Positive reinforcement at the elementary level, we have Black Hawk tickets, and we try to, when they're doing it correctly, give them a ticket, and then they get to vote on our quarter celebration, which I'll talk about in a second. And creative environmental solutions, which I can also show you this in a moment, but we noticed that kids were having a really hard time remembering not to throw snow. And so we bought some hula hoops, zip tied them to the fence, and now they have something that is safe to throw at. It's each other. We also strive on the community action team to provide common language and expectations throughout the building. There's no reason that second grade should have a different set of rules at recess than kindergarten, fourth grade, and anybody else in the building. The team tries to meet monthly. This year, since Mr. Olson, the quiet teacher, joined the team, he is also a bus driver. So after school was not an option for our meeting times. So we now have switched to meeting on in-service days. But our team is made up with representation of every single grade level and department, including VAMs, the special ed department, paras, the specialists, and student services. And it is our goal to promote a feeling of community with students and staff through our celebrations and activities. Some of the celebrations that we do, like I said, are quarterly celebrations. That again also comes from our PBIS team. With their tickets that they earn throughout the quarter, we always give them two options, and they get to use their ticket to vote which option they would like. I believe the current one, Mr. Olber, you may have to help me with this one. I think it's a dance party or
Board games?
Oh yes, board games. And I'm pretty sure dance party's going to win. Sometimes it's things like dance parties, board games, extra recess, treats. One time we voted on what kind of treat we wanted at the carnival. just different things like that. This year, we've also started monthly attendance awards. We've noted in the past that we strive to have better attendance, but the kids didn't really get it, especially at the elementary level, so we turned it into a competition. Our lovely Mrs. Deaver in the office tallies it up. She has her own special formulas that she has concocted, and she gives us a percentage of how many kids were there each day, and by each grade level, not including tardies or medical, or she's got this whole formula. But she has done that monthly for us, and the first Friday of every new month, we give the award for the last month, and third grade has won 2 times, or is it 3 now?
Just back to back.
Back to back, yeah. The 2 times we've getting it out, third grade has won. And then we also have been doing the end of the year carnival for 5 years, maybe 5, 6 years. And every year that some of it's a little bit the same, some of it's a little bit different. We've had to shrink it down to fit in the library when it was raining. We've taken over the whole football field. We have done a little bit of everything. Activities that we do as the community action team, we saw it on TikTok like everybody else, the underground staff spirit days, we flannel days, we've had everything but a cup day, fancy socks day, and it's just kind of fun to see if the kids notice. Obviously, they did everything but a cup a day because we were drinking out of, I think I had a pail. Other teachers had bases. It was very obvious that something was up, but it's kind of fun to see if they notice the not quite as obvious. Homecoming, we put together an assembly, very short and sweet, but at the kids' level, and a float that represents the elementary. We do holiday dress-up days. We put together a backdrop that we put up on the stage that is available for families and different groups to use throughout the holiday season. We do candy cane bingo over Zoom, and the kids love it because they have permission to run down the hallway. This year we added Unity Day. It's Kids Against Bullying Day in October, I believe. And of course, we do day 6, 7. And then we also added a pop-up spirit shop. I know as a parent that kids outgrow clothes, and we don't always, for all the different dress-up days, we don't always have what we need. And so we thought that, well, what about all the Black Hawk gear that we buy every year that now my son doesn't fit into anymore? We could donate it to the school, and then whoever needs it can grab what they need and have it go back and forth as needed. And we did that during parent-teacher conferences. I know we actually got more the second day of parent-teacher conferences, so it went really well. Oops. And we also, some examples of, again, this is the creative environment stuff. I got a couple of our second graders there. They overall the building, they get in trouble for throwing snow, so we put the hula hoops up. What do we do with all of the snow? We can't play basketball anymore, so we had a bunch of shovels donated as well as purchased. This was homecoming. We had some of our senior athletes come over, and they did, I think they did some games and some cheers and some songs with us. We played a game. We stole the rule ball idea and played the 3 4th grade classrooms against teachers throughout the building. We had one of our talented staff members made the Sweet Dreams Start Here sign. And we put that on the back of the trailer that some of our 4th graders and Mr. Ober and Mrs. Obright ride with them in. And then all of the candy posters along the side is 1 per classroom. So we all just kind of participate a little, but enough for them to feel like, hey, look, you can see my thing on the float in the parade. This is our holiday. Up in the top, it's kind of dark, but that is our candy cane bingo. And you can kind of see the computer in the foreground that has the wonderful Mrs. Vera, who has way too much fun announcing bingo. Our dress up days, that's actually my class down in the front, and obviously it was green and red day. And then the gingerbread house, and there's a tree and some windows and some candy around it as well. We made last year and actually saved it to put up again this year, because it was Mrs. Johnson and Pre-K did such an awesome job that we didn't want to just use it once. But that was up for gingerbread night. It was up for the holiday concerts, and I believe Pre-K also had an event while it was up. This is our monthly attendance assemblies. The top left is, you can see an itty bitty little Mr. Olbert up there, going through each month. He explains to the students why attendance is so important. And he does a fun little drum roll where we just find out slowly who won. Top left is the third grade winning again. And there they are with the orange painted sign again by one of the staff members. It's just on a canvas so that it can travel to hopefully more than just third grade. And then just some other fun things we've done. Again, in the top right, we have high schoolers coming over and just saying good morning to the kids on Fridays. Sock day, the blow up stuff that we get either at the carnival or in the gym, depending on weather and time of season. Getting the sleds and just having a sledding day, and of course the 6-7 day. Things we would like to do in the future is the school shirts. I know over the summer our logo kind of officially changed a little bit, so we would like to get our elementary logo out there a little bit more. So whether it is a fundraiser for us, or I know in the past we've just gotten every kid a shirt just to get our name out there. More celebration days. Just small little things like National Play Day. Maybe everybody gets 5 extra minutes of recess, or National Donut Day. Everybody gets a donut or something like that. Staff outings, we've done a couple in the past. I know some of the elementary teachers have gotten together and just went to Nashville together, just for fun. We did a comedy tour stop last year, and we would just like to do more, whether it's local things where we just say, hey, everybody, let's go to line dancing on Thursday, or hey, everyone, let's go out to eat and just visit on not school property. And the Teachers Lounge recipe book or recipe swap, we are constantly talking on our downtime about fun things that we like to do, like cooking. And we also do staff potlucks, and so we would like to kind of swap things like that. And then just general fundraising. We pay for like if we did the shirts, we would have to pay for the shirts. We pay for the carnival. We kind of would also like to do, last year, for example, I had a student whose family lost another family member. So kind of a condolence, kind of sunshine, not that's a bad example of sunshine fund, but something kind of like that. And I believe that was it. Yep, that was it. Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions, or very thorough? Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And senior feature, we have Brandon Screedy and Ryan Kolchak here. So in the back. I think if you stand over in this area, make sure you're on. Thank you.
I'm Brandon Scrady, and my future plans are to go to University of Northwestern St. Paul and pursue accounting. And my favorite classes are probably traffic communications with Tyler Gabrielson, and also AP Environmental Science with Miss Mishowski. And I am currently in basketball, and season's going not as good as we thought, but we've got a few wins and it's been pretty fun.
My name is Ryan Kowalczyk. I plan on attending a four-year university to major in kinesiology. I'm also looking to play baseball at the next level. I currently play baseball and also played football this past fall. My favorite class was AP Psychology with Mr. Urch, and I'm currently in student council in National Honor Society.
Brandon, want to tell us anything about this summer?
Yeah,
Projects.
me, Ross and Tyler, we worked throughout the whole school, rebranding stuff, so all the gym doors and everything in the gym. Yeah, we worked all summer, and I'm still currently working throughout the school year and doing a bunch of stuff for the school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been really exciting to see all the new
Mhm.
graphics and
So when I reminded them of the meeting, they were in the Fab Lab.
Yep.
A little more stuff.
Mhm.
What are you working on right now?
Right now we are working on for directional signs around the school and other stuff like that, and yeah.
You're doing a great job.
And also the new weight room down there, we're making a new design for that big long wall, so, yeah. That'll be fun.
That's great.
Nice. We'll have to tour around and see some of these changes because I don't get to those places. To see it. Yeah, any other questions?
Good job, guys.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Future plans.
Have a good night. All right. On to committee report, policy. Dana.
Okay, we ready? It is.
Okay.
Lovely first reading and approval of the some legal updates. This will be approved of the consent agenda. So this policy, or excuse me, bylaw 0100, the definitions. This policy establishes a comprehensive list of terms and their specific meanings for use throughout the district's bylaws and policies for consistency and clarity across all district policies. This policy now includes the definition of school support organizations. It also includes gaming devices as part of the definition of personal communication devices due to a recent change in statutory language relative to student use of PCDs in these schools. The gaming device addition in the definition of PDC is statutory definition and is required. Policy 2131.01 is reading instructional goals in kindergarten assessment. This is revised. This policy outlines the board's program of reading goals for students from kindergarten to 12th grade and mandates the employment of a certified reading specialist to develop and coordinate a comprehensive reading curriculum. The policy now includes the interventions required by law under Act 20 for each qualifying student. Policy 5112, entrance age, is revised. The policy establishes student entrance age requirements consistent with the Wisconsin law and sound educational practices, ensuring equitable treatment for all. Policy 5136, personal communication devices, has been revised. This policy regulates the use of student personal communication devices, PCDs, to protect the student, staff, and the learning environment from disruption. It establishes clear rules, prevent academic dishonesty, safeguard and the privacy of individuals, and address harmful behaviors like cyberbullying and harassment. Ultimately, the policy is intended to establish a safe and focused educational setting by managing when and how these devices are used on school property. Policy 7540.02, digital content and accessibility. This is a replacement policy. This policy provides digital equality and legal compliance by mandating that all district web content and mobile apps adhere to accessibility standards. This adherence provides individuals with disabilities an equal opportunity to access information, programs, and services, preventing discrimination as required by Section 504 and the ADA. Policy 7540.08, artificial intelligence or AI. This is a replacement policy. The policy update and revision is designed to be legally compliant by referring and building upon existing federal laws. It takes an active, mitigating approach to integrating AI into education while prioritizing ethical use and legal adherence. Policy 9215, school support organizations. This policy establishes the standards, responsibilities, and oversight for school support organizations, or SSOs, such as PTAs, PTOs, booster clubs, and educational foundations that raise funds or donate resources to support district schools and activities. Policy 9700, relations with non-school affiliated groups. This policy sets clear rules for how non-school affiliated outside groups may interact with students, staff, and district facilities. It prohibits the use of district resources, including names, logos, facilities, or personnel for advertising, promotion, and or fundraising. This is the first reading. The rest of the policies here are our first reading. They will be for approval on February 16th. Bylaw 0144.5, board member behavior, communications, and code of conduct being revised. This policy outlines the expected ethical, professional, and responsible conduct for all board members, covering their behavior, communications, and interactions with staff. Policy 1210, board district administrator relationships being revised. This policy defines the relationship between the board and the district administrator, emphasizing the board's roles in establishing policies and the district administrator's responsibility in administrating them. It is important for ensure clear lines of authority and efficient of the school district, with the district administrator serving as a primary professional advisor to the board. Policy 1230.01, development of administrative guidelines being revised. This policy delegates to the district administrator the responsibility for designing and implementing administrative guidelines for the district's operation, ensuring they are consistent with board policies. Policy 1240, evaluation of the district administrator revised. This policy emphasizes the importance of periodical evaluating the district administrator's performance to assist both the board and the administrator in their responsibilities and ensure effective leadership. Policy 2261.01, parent and family engagement in Title I programs being revised. This policy outlines the requirements for parent and family engagement in Title I programs, ensuring meaningful consultation and involvement of parents in their children's education. Policy 2431, interscholastic athletics. This policy recognizes the value of interscholastic athletics, emphasizing maximum student participation, good sportsmanship, team playing, and fair competition over winning. Policy 5411, third grade promotion and retention, at-risk students. This policy governs the promotion of students from third grade to fourth grade, ensuring decisions are based on thorough and equitable process that considers individual student reading needs. Policy 5505 is academic honesty, revised, and additional information incorporated regarding the use of artificial intelligence, or AI, and natural language processing, NLP, tools in the classroom. Use of AI and NLP is prohibited unless prior permission or consent is given by the classroom teacher. Policy 5514, use of the personal transportation devices. This new policy is relevant because it expands the scope of the previous bicycle rule to address a wider variety of modern personal transportation devices like scooters, skateboards, and hoverboards, whether they are manual or motorized. Policy 5515, student use and parking of motor vehicles. The policy outlines the conditions under which students may use motor vehicles to travel to and from school, emphasizing their responsibility for proper care, safety, and courtesy. Policy 5830, student fundraising. The policy governs student fundraising activities within the school district. It ensures the fundraising is conducted in a controlled, ethical, and educational appropriate manner. Fundraising must be for school-related purposes, approved by the principal and a district administrator, and comply with federal dietary and financial regulations. Policy 5895, student employment, has been removed or rescinded. This policy is being rescinded. Teenagers in Wisconsin need a work permit if they are under 16 and are not working in an agricultural domestic service. Schools are no longer authorized to provide students with work permits. Parents must apply for the permit online through the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development website. Policy 6320, purchasing. This policy outlines the procedures for the purchase of all supplies, material, equipment, and services using district funds, emphasizing compliance with relevant laws and ethical standards. The key policy revision includes reorganization of content as well as clarification on single vendor bids and the timeline for bid delivery to the district. Policy 6605, crowdfunding. This policy regulates the use of online crowdfunding platforms to raise money or resources for district-approved educational activities, classrooms, or school-related programs. It ensures that crowdfunding activities align with the school's educational mission, maintain financial transparency, and protect the student privacy. Policy 6608, accountability and oversight of fundraiser and crowdfunding disbursements. This is a new policy. And it states all fundraising through the student, parent, or private group-led fundraising and crowdfunding efforts, whether managed by the district or by the outside groups, are proposed or properly documented, reported, and aligned with state and federal financial standards. Policy 7230 is gift and grants and bequests. This policy outlines how district accepts and manages gifts, grants, and bequests from individuals or organizations. The revision includes additional accountability and protection for the board and district. Policy 9211, school support organizations. This has been removed and rescinded and renumbered to replace policy 9215 for better alignment with the numbering using all states in the Neola network. Policy 9700.01, advertising and commercial activities. This has been revised and the policy outlines the rules and limitations for advertising and commercial activities involving students, staff, or district property. The policy ensures any commercial presence aligns with the district mission and public trust. And that concludes this first reading. Those are the policies updates for this time go around.
All right, thank you, Dana, and thank you to the policy committee for keeping those all in line. Item 7, welcome visitors.
There was any public comment.
All right, item 8, consent agenda. We have item A, approval of agenda, item B, proof of public notice, item C, December meeting minutes, item D, check summary 1 in the amount of $373,826.26. Item E, retirements, resignations. We have resignation, Jessica Kress, speech pathologist with 5 years. Item F, appointments, none. Item G, 2026-27 open enrollment spaces as follows. Unlimited availability for VES, VMS, or VHS in grades 4K to 12, regular education, and special education, early childhood, 1 space, elementary school, 1 space, middle school, 0 spaces, high school, 0 spaces. And the charter school enrollment is designated by each school. Item H, revised policy updates, which Dana just told us about. 0100 definitions, 2131.01 reading instructional goals and kindergarten assessment, 5112 entrance age, 5136 personal communication devices, 7540.02 digital content and accessibility, 7540.08 artificial intelligence, AI, 9215 school support organizations, and 9700 relations with non-school affiliated groups.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is check summary 2, and these are expenses related to health insurance.
I move to approve the check summary 2 in the amount of $622,708.34.
I'll second that.
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. 9B, WASB resolutions. And so Sarah Wedwick is our WASB delegate and Dana Holfelder is alternate delegate. And the board will vote to give the delegate direction when voting.
I move to approve the WASB resolutions as recommended to give the board delegate direction when voting at the school board convention.
I'll second that.
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Who was that second?
If anyone has questions, let me know. Information discussion, donations over $100. So thank you to all these groups for their generous donations in the total amount of $10,979.10. We have Pamela Big, 100 to Viroqua area schools, Kent and Julie Jensen, 350 to Viroqua area schools. Driftless Cafe Solstice Dinner was $6,018.98 to the student pantry / donation to families. Bark donated $2,000 to student pantry donation to families. And Running Incorporated donated $1,500 to student pantry donation to families. Culver's had $322.32 for the FFA Share Night. And Friends of Vernon Health donated $200 to school supplies for VES and BAMS. Culver's, $187.80, class of 2028 Share Night. And Good Shepherd Lutheran Church donated $300 to the student pantry. So many thanks to those organizations and to all of our community members who are always very generous with their donations to our district. Item B, first reading of policies.
I reviewed all those already in the committee report.
Yep, and they are listed here exactly as Dana read them. So I won't read them again because I don't want to put you through that. But if anyone has questions. Any questions? Okay. We'll move on to some reports. District Administrator. Our school calendar for 2026-27, budget planning, and school interest survey.
Madam Chair, thank you. You all had the opportunity to look at the calendar for 2026-2027. I wanted you to have the opportunity to look at it to provide any feedback. My plan is for that to go in an email to families later this week so that they can start to plan for the 26-27 school year.
Change of start and end times?
Change of the start times will stay the same.
Excuse me, end times.
And times will all be 8 minutes later at each building. That allows for it allows for 2 extra days that can be taken as vacation, and the district committee created a spring break space for that, still finishing school by Memorial Day. We will start on August 24th, so the week before Labor Day, but it aligns the semesters, and they were able to maintain the length of time for quarters, generally 1 or 2 days here or there, and then built in the conference days. So conferences will be at the end of the first quarter and the end of the third quarter. They will have a Thursday night conference component. Friday morning will be spent in staff development, and then Friday afternoon during the the school day will be the second round of conferences, so that if families can't come in the evening, they can come during the day and vice versa.
Are we still building in snow day?
3 snow days are still built in, yes. Based on the number of minutes.
I really like these people.
Yes,
The plan, what I told the committee is I would like for us to get through the start of the school year and reconvene that committee in September or October to make recommendations for the 27-28 school year. I felt like it was too premature to go ahead and roll a similar schedule for the following year if we haven't lived with the start of school at least. Okay. The administrative team is working on their budget planning to try to right-size our budget. They are working diligently and turning everything upside down to try to find any loose change anywhere. And so they've worked very, very hard on that, and we'll continue to keep you in the loop as we can on that. And then in coordination with our charter schools, we sent out prior to the holiday break a school interest survey to try to gather information about our families who are enrolled, our families who are not enrolled or who are homeschooling in our community, to find out why they're choosing other options, so that we can, as we are right sizing, also looking at right programming a little bit to make sure that we are offering the very best options to families in our community. And so that will be an ongoing process. That is all I have.
Thank you. Any questions? Right, administrator reports from Pat, Steve, and Jason. I don't know if you just want to take turns as usual and
Let's say I can go first.
take things on the list.
So we had on January 7th, so about a week and a half ago, we had 8th grade parents come in. We did our annual registration night with them where we get out the packets and different, had in the band room, nice turnout. Yeah, so we, all the registration sheets at the high school are due at the end of the month to get an idea, so we can kind of build our staffing plan off of that. And then go backward and build the schedule off the staffing plan. End of the semester is this Thursday, so we're halfway through the school year this Thursday. With next Monday is the beginning of the next semester, so. Yes, Laurel, so we kind of time crunch again because we had about a half hour and then we're like, Laurel open house, they wait until we get started. But we got done in about 35 minutes, so they went up to Laurel. Renee and Lynn both told me that they had a great turnout that popped up there too, so. Which leads into the enrollment windows, February 26th at 3 p.m. is the deadline to enroll. To apply, I guess, not enroll, apply for Laurel for this upcoming year. So that'll kind of give us a better idea what the numbers are up there. Currently this year we have 39 students up in Laurel. Better Futures, which is another charter school, obviously. Better Futures runs a little bit differently in that somewhat monthly, but mainly quarterly. We have enrollments that go in, and then once kids finish up out there, they can also do their exit interviews. They have to do an exit interview. They do initial basic skills testing when they enter, and we do again another round of testing when they exit to get some data on how things are performing up there. So co-curriculars were in full swing, kind of in the second half of a lot of the seasons. Varying degrees, Brandon mentioned, varying degrees of success throughout. I have my own. He's not a 106 pounder. He wrestles 106 pounds, so. His record's pretty impressive because not every school has a 106 pounder type of thing, so
A win is a win.
a win is a win. I can tell you last week he was 4-0 and it consisted about 10 seconds of getting his hand raised in those 2 evening events, so it's great for duels. We have a nice wrestling, we have a nice range of weights this year, so we can be somewhat competitive in duels. Girls basketball has probably been the most competitive. At the I would say upset, the win over West Salem, girls basketball, not an upset.
West Salem was upset.
Someone was upset.
But it did end, I believe, It was West Salem's 44-game conference winning streak, and I think it was the first time we beat them in 19 years. To kind of give a little bit of perspective with that. Which then ties in, all my things transition really nice to me. Ties into, we did get, we heard back on our conference realignment update. If you remember back when in November or December, we got one of 14 votes from the task force, from the realignment committee, which meant on January 8th, Dan and I got 5 minutes over a Zoom call to tell our story to the conference realignment task force. And they, by a 15-1 vote, have forwarded on our realignment. It's less probably about the storytellers and more about the story, in all honesty. So at this point, so they passed it on, which then kicks it to all the conference schools that are affected by it. They can, if they choose, they can also then have some time over a Zoom conference to meet with the committee, and then they, I think, if some choose, then they would take another vote in March. If not, this vote would pass along down to, I think it's Board of Controls at the WIA next. So, so definitely a step in the right direction, and we thank the WIA for giving us the opportunity to, even though it was only 5 minutes, to give the opportunity to at least share our story. Because in many ways, and like we shared with that committee, you know, right now we're dealing with a decision that was made in 1987. So a lot of times these decisions have long-lasting impact over multiple generations. So yeah, it's a good day. It was a good day. So. '87. I was born in '87.
Thanks, Jason.
There's some great things in it. So, yeah. So as far as things to update you guys on, there's not a whole lot on the list here, but one of the things that I did want to mention in the assemblies and celebrations pieces, whenever we have an opportunity to celebrate, I want to make sure to share it. At the beginning of the year, I shared with you guys some of the specific explicit goals that we're trying to meet in the middle school, and one of them was the student perception of having at least one teacher or other adult at school that they could talk to. We set the benchmark based on our 2023 YRBS data that we had from the middle school, which was 73%. By comparison, Vernon County, the average was 74% for that one, and at the state level, 79%. So when we looked at that number, that was definitely something that was concerning, something consistent with board conversations, and why it is that we named that as one of our specific goals that we wanted to work on. So we brought that survey question to our middle school students in an anonymous survey, right? So this is, there was no names attached, this is just their honest opinion, and I'm ecstatic to share with you guys that the outcome that we got from that survey was 88.38% of our students now say that they have at least one teacher or other adult at school that they feel like they can talk to. So that's, I take very little of that credit because the number of adults in this building that were reported by those students that they felt like they could talk to, there were multiple students that reported multiple adults, and so it's a shared celebration of everyone on our staff that make this a great place for students to be. So I want to share that celebration with you guys. Awesome. Yeah.
Celebrating.
Huge.
Sounds great. That's huge.
And elementary world and VAM's world, Haley did a great job of talking about our cool cats and our quick assembly. That's what I call it, because it's quick. It probably takes as long for the kids to get down to the cafeteria as I do to present the attendance, but it's kind of cool. I think we're hopefully building that capacity, like Haley mentioned, of school-wide goal is 95% attendance. So we let them know we're not expecting perfection, we're not perfect. Adults miss days too, but to be there as often as possible. Maybe somebody will have better attendance than third grade. At least hoping for second grade this month. And
My third
and
grader is
talk
very
about-
excited to be. She was very proud of that.
But it is, I think it is starting to get some traction. It's only the second month we've done that, so that's kind of cool. We tried something new leading into our VAMS enrollment windows in February. So in January, we usually have our information night so that families know what Montessori is, do a little bit of education. We get a lot of turnout from our incoming 4K families, but we decided to have some equity and have our traditional 4K night on the same night so that people can come and learn, hey, we have 2 great options for 4K going into the next school year. Joke that I have 2 children, you know, it's like having which one's my favorite. Depending on who I'm talking to, I might say one or the other, but it's like bands in the elementary. They're, you know, I look at them as they're equals. They both have great programs, a lot of similarities for incoming 4K families and some differences that I think families got to see that night. The biggest, if you had to narrow it down, like, hey, what are the biggest differences? BAMS does a multi-age, so you have 4K and kindergarten together. And then going up, it's 1st through 3rd, 4th through 6th, 7th and 8th. And the materials are specific to Montessori. So families could go in and see the traditional 4K room, very play-based environment. BAMS play-based in a different way with materials specific to Montessori. It was seemed like a huge turnout. New enrollment forms go over to Julie Trigestead to do some screeners with incoming families. But there were also families just interested in Montessori or seeing the progression, like I have a kindergartner, what does the next level in E1 look like? I have a 3rd grader, what does E2 look like, and so on. Miss Erica talked to 6th grade families that hopefully are going into the 7th and 8th grade adolescent program, so it was a good night. We learned some things, doing it together with the 4K information first, and then Montessori starting with 4K information and then spreading. That we can improve on next year, but it was good to do that together. It was neat to see that. Yeah, and we're almost to the semester. It gets cold in the elementary building when the heat goes off. We've noticed at our VANS meeting tonight. The long cold meeting over there, so it feels pretty good in here.
Is that why you're all bundled up?
Oh, yeah.
Quickly touching on the enrollment update, that we've had some come back up. We're at 966. In November, we were at 965. In September, we were 961, but we are still down 64 from September last year.
All right, anything else? Otherwise, we have a few board report items, BAMS update, Kim and Pat.
I was at part of the BAMS meeting, and the Children's House in town that's not associated with the school did a presentation, and they have 30 kids, and they're looking at viability and how they could potentially do things different. So it was just a presentation to the governance council. They talked a lot about enrollment, possible increases, not having waiting lists, when kids can come in, and so forth. They're working on some grants and keeping templates so that they don't have to redo the basics every time somebody wants to apply for a grant. And I just wanted to notice, if you haven't seen it, the Montessori billboard as you go north on Highway 14 is very, very nice, and showcases that aspect and stuff. So besides that, I don't know, Pat, if you have anything. I missed part of the meetings in there, but Pat, did you have anything to add? I think I got the highlights.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time discussing a couple of one enrollment policy, or protocol, whether or not to change that, and also then starting to discuss enrollment caps going into next year. So good discussions in the cold.
Great, I look forward to seeing the billboard tomorrow when I take a drive. Laurel High School update, Sarah, anything?
They did not meet in December, and our meeting in January is next Monday. So we'll let you know next month.
All right, sounds good. Spring school board election. The deadline for declaring candidacy was Tuesday, January 6, 2026, I believe, at 5 p.m. Candidates that have filed the paperwork to be on the April 1st spring ballot are Dana and Matt. Thank you very much.
We need Pat to do the AGR report. We just didn't do it.
We skipped it. Okay.
We did.
And a primary election is not needed. 2026 WASB convention, January 21st to 23rd, 2026 in Milwaukee. Dana, Matt, Sarah, and Jeremy are planning to attend. And we're going to have Pat do the AGR report, which I saw and then skipped over also, so.
Yeah.
Sorry about that,
That's okay.
Pat.
I skipped over it too. I could have done it as part of my other talk. So you have that report in the board report, but I'll just do the quick overview and then give the updates on where we're at. So page 2 of that gives the overview. The AGR is the achievement gap reduction. That's a 5-year contract. We must implement one of 3 strategies or a combination for all K-3 classrooms. Those strategies are one-to-one tutoring for students, instructional coaching for teachers, or maintaining an 8 student to 1 teacher ratio. On slide 3, the requirements are implementing those strategies, reporting the intended strategies to DPI at the beginning of the year, and then an end of the year report that I fill out to let DPI know the actual strategies we used. We set performance objectives that we'll go through shortly and specify the assessments we use and then report to the school board at each semester. That's why I'm here. And then the next 2 pages go over our reading and math objectives and progress. So very similar, both objectives are similar for reading and math. We want to take the percentage of students scoring at below the 25th percentile and reduce that in half from the fall to the spring scores. That aligns with, for reading, aligns with Act 20. Those students falling in that lowest 25th percentile have a personal reading plan. So the most disheartening thing is when we want to reduce that in half and we don't see a huge change from fall to winter. It is not by any means lack of effort on teachers and staff. It's disheartening because teachers come to our data meetings in the winter and a few were actually in tears because they feel like they're working so hard to achieve these, which on one hand is good, but also know that maybe we shouldn't expect that much change that quick. It's not to make excuses for any of our results. We want to be better. We have the tools to be better. It's figuring out the right strategies, whether it's our tier 1 instruction, which we're improving each year, and then looking at our interventions within the classroom and also some pull-out interventions as well.
And Pat, this does not include Montessori.
Correct. This
And
is just the elementary.
Partly because as our numbers go down, like in first grade, it's only a 1 student difference, but it changes
Changed a
your
lot.
whole percentage a lot because you have much smaller numbers of students
It does.
that you're looking at. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's really, when you look at the overall, there's not a lot of change from fall to winter, unfortunately, based on these numbers. Part of that is the bar goes up each assessment window. So it isn't that these students aren't making any growth. It's just they're making growth. They're just not hitting the cut scores the way we want them to. So we have lots of discussions on how we can improve instruction and interventions, and that'll continue until we can lower those numbers. We'd love it if we had 0 students in that lowest 25th percentile. More reasonable, hopefully, would be over the next year or 2 to have like 5% instead of some of those numbers that we're having. Is much more manageable. But doesn't mean that students aren't trying, teachers aren't trying. We're all trying to improve. And again, this is based on one screener that the state says we have to use. It doesn't take into account anything the day-to-day instruction that teachers see the most change in and have the most impact on. But it's the same screener that every student in the state's using. So it's something we can continue to work and get better on, but that is our AGR math is very similar. Yeah, it's kind of disheartening to not see much change from fall to winter, but again, we all want that instant result, I think, faster than maybe it comes, and hopefully, another way to look at it is hopefully by the time they're leaving the elementary building, all those skills are in place that those will show up in other areas as well. But I will be back at the end of the school year for the end of the year report as well, if there aren't any questions.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks.
And the last thing I skipped was the WASB legislative update, which we don't have an update this month.
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor?